Welcome back to the channel. This is WAP Reviews, which stands for Work in Progress. We are two works in progress.
I'm Sam.
And I'm Dennis.
And we're two best friends who love reacting to music, film, entertainment, anything pop culture. And today we are reviewing Love is Blind Season 4.
We can start with Tiffany and Brett.
Tiffany is a breath of fresh air.
A breath of fresh air?
She is, though. She's so sweet and genuine, and she was really there for the right reason. She wanted to find a partner. She wanted to find someone to spend the rest of her life with, and she took it seriously, and she did it, and so did Brett. He really came for the right reasons. He was looking for the right person, and you could tell he's one of those people. And you know that Brett would have left if he didn't find somebody who he really felt a connection with. Like, he wasn't going to just propose to somebody just because. You knew that he took it seriously. I just think they're such a sweet couple, and it was really sweet to see them at the reunion as well, to see how their relationship has solidified. Yeah, there was really no doubt that they were going to get married.
They were really cute. I'm glad he didn't drop her when she fell asleep on him. I think it was really sweet how open he was about his brother, like in the pods, and how she reacted. It really showed that she like exhibited the love he wanted and he needed in that moment, rather than something maybe that he would have found like too much or too little. Like, it was just the perfect amount of whatever she reacted. And I think sometimes that can give you a lot of signs of if that person's right for you, because if they're expressing the right love to you, then maybe they're the ones who can express love in all ways to you. I also liked when Tiffany was like on the couch freaking out and like crying, and then all Brett did was just like validate her and then hold her. There were just these little moments that they shared that showed that they listened and they heard each other, and that they gave each other the love they not only wanted but needed. Chelsea.
Wow.
And Kwame. Kind of like their relationship.
For the most part, the entire season, I just thought he was hung up on Micah. It was very obvious what the producers were trying to do to make it seem like he was just so fixated on one thing. But, you know, as the viewer, we have to remember that, like, there are so many other things that are affecting the way a person is acting, especially when they come out into the real world and they're not in the pods anymore. You could tell that there were a lot of life things weighing on him, but, you know, one of those things in my head was like, oh, well, he might be thinking about Micah.
Watching it, like, obviously there's an edit and kind of what the producers want you to see, and they're trying to tell the story. So, like you said, they were trying to tell you that Kwame was stuck up on Micah, which he might have been in the beginning, like, a little hurt and just wanted some closure, which is fair, and I feel like not at all a problem. Maybe they shouldn't have spoken for 20 minutes. That's a little weird, but besides that, there's nothing really wrong with having a conversation and kind of getting closure on a relationship, especially when it was such a deep connection between them, or they say so. Where it becomes kind of muddy is kind of how the public takes what we see and like twists it and makes it fit the narrative. Like, instead of watching it and understanding that, okay, it's reality, like, not all this is real, like, we should take it all with a grain of salt. Instead, they make theories about how his sister's a paid actress. Like, I'm just saying that that's, like, too much. Like, to go and be like, yeah, that's not even real. You're so fake. You hired someone to be your family.
Who thought that? Who came up with that idea based off the narrative that was pushed to us?
Yes.
It was odd.
Yes.
Chelsea just seemed very oblivious.
Yeah.
The whole time, too. Yeah. I just feel like in her head, there was no doubt in his mind that he was going to say yes. Well, we as the audience could clearly see that he was struggling with something. But from her perspective, from what we saw of her perspective, she didn't know at all that he was questioning things.
If we actually look at the actions of what we were shown, it never really showed Kwame actually doing anything that would have shown that he doesn't really like her. He was communicative. He was open. He shared his doubts. He was very honest. It's just that the edit made it look like that's all that it was. Just doubts and doubts and doubts. But he straight up did a photo shoot in Calvin Klein's with her. Just because we're fed a narrative doesn't mean it's the truth. And I think Chelsea is a unique person. And they definitely made her look like the overbearing, very interested when no one else is interested person. Which kind of sucks for her, because she's also super kind, always standing up for
Chelsea
others.
is a girl's girl.
Yeah.
She respects women. She hypes up other women. And she knows her worth. We haven't really seen in any of the seasons like a woman who, I mean, we can tell there are beautiful, empowered women on the show, but not somebody who you can see has struggled in the past and has overcome those struggles and really is confident and lets other people know that they are special. And even when it comes to Micah, like, she has not said a bad thing about her one time. She said maybe it was a little bit odd and that she was uncomfortable by their 20-minute conversation. But when she confronted Micah, and even in the reunion, she was like, Micah said her piece. I have nothing to say. We already went over it, and she can do her thing.
I think Chelsea got a bad rep, deserves better, and so does Kwame. Because as far as I can tell, he seems very emotionally honest. He seems to be communicative. And he seems to make Chelsea happy, from what I can tell, and that's what matters.
That is what matters. And did you see their house?
They're making money. Next up is Jackie and Marshall. I'm curious to know does her insecurities make her want Marshall to be more aggressive? Or does she just genuinely have a preference for someone that's a little more aggressive? But the reality is she's not a bad person. There's nothing wrong with choosing someone else. But there is something wrong if you are lying or cheating or manipulating or blindsiding, which the show made it look like she did. But according to her, she did not.
It's really hard for her to communicate her feelings. You could tell her hyperfixations on certain things. But again, with Marshall, like, he did always do exactly what she needed from what we saw. He listened. If she needed space, he gave her space, but not too much because you never know with her. She's also probably never, and she said it actually, that she's never felt a love like this before. And he loved her despite all of those things. And I think that might have scared her, and I don't think she was ready for it. And that's okay. People need to be more forgiving towards themselves. Because a lot of times as human beings, we don't know what we want. We don't know what we need until we're shown something. And then when we're given everything that we want, maybe it's not what you need at the time.
She says she wants someone more aggressive, but watching it as the viewer, it seems to be counterintuitive. If you have someone who has a very emotional and in some ways like a explosive personality where they freak out and like blow up on people, you don't want the other person to be the same. And that's what Marshall was. He was the opposite of that. He's not going to blow up. He's very patient. Probably does eventually blow up. But Josh, on the other hand, seems to be someone who does that often. So why would you want to be in a relationship with that? That doesn't seem healthy. That seems like it would just be two people that are explosive. Next couple is Micah and Paul.
This one really sucked. Micah is very complex, actually.
Even though she comes off very surface level.
She puts on this front as like this girl who doesn't really care. She's like the blonde cheerleader popular girl in school. But you know that she has struggles and she has insecurities that are deep rooted. But I feel like she might have, behind closed doors, I don't really know what they talked about. It just seemed as though she really opened up to Paul. Gave herself the chance to be loved in a way that she's never been loved before. And the fact that he couldn't reciprocate that, it just really sucked to watch. That doesn't mean he's a bad person. He just had to do what was right for himself. He's a super analytical thinker. He overthinks everything as well. He definitely has some deep-rooted anxieties. Micah's friends being in the mix definitely didn't help. You become who you surround yourself with. And even though Micah is, she's it looks like she's battling being a good person sometimes.
Again, it's through the perspective of the editing, and we didn't really see Micah open up on camera except when she spoke with her mom, when you kind of saw her walls break down a little bit when she was with her parents. So besides that, we never really saw that. They were just giggling like they were a high school couple. It never felt deeper than that. But as you got closer to the altar, it felt like things may have been deeper, but she chose to not show it to the camera until we got closer to the altar. Which I think means that maybe she was also doing the same thing with Paul behind closed doors. She was kind of very surface level, making sure it doesn't get deeper because she was scared. And then maybe closer to the end, she was kind of starting to open up, but like, that's too late. And because of that, he didn't feel like this nurturing energy from her, which he said very badly, and didn't mean it that way, but he said it very badly on camera. What he should have said was, I didn't feel this nurturing energy that I felt like I needed, rather than saying anything about being a mother, which was not really relevant, I think, and just kind of hurtful. And I think we need to chill out on the hate and just send these people some love, because they went through a very unique experience in front of a camera and millions of people, so...
It's a very vulnerable thing. I mean, not only are you letting people see your personal life, but your love life, that is super personal. And that has nothing to do with anybody else.
Well, I also hope it taught her that maybe watching from the outside perspective, how her friends reacted, not only at the party, but also at the wedding, a certain friend saying, I'm glad they didn't get together, or whatever she said. Instead of saying, oh, I'm glad they didn't get married, and laugh, why don't you go run after your friend who's sobbing? Shelby does remind me of someone else on the show, named Irina, which leads us to the final couple, Zack and Bliss.
Well, then I guess we have to start with Zack and Irina.
Yep.
What it comes across as is that she has a lot of internal struggles as well. We're human beings. We all struggle. We all have things we go through. We all have things we're embarrassed about, insecure about. But when it comes to being insecure about you and your personality and you as a person, then you can lash out on others and make them feel worse about themselves. And the reason I was thinking about this while I was watching them, what did they have in common so much that made them both feel this connection? Because with Irina, from what we've seen, again, from what we can tell, she wasn't really opening up or being genuine ever. That deep insecurity about her as a human being played into her relationship with Zack, and we got to see the bad side of that.
It was weird to me that the people at the reunion were confused why, like, oh, if you have been bullied, why would you do these malicious things to other people? When it's like psychology 101. Bullies are people who have been bullied. Clearly, she's super insecure and has mental health issues and probably has been bullied in her life. So whenever she feels insecure, she feels threatened, she thinks, okay, now is the time to protect myself, so I'm going to hurt others. That's not the intention. The intention is not to be mean. The intention is not to be hurtful. The intention is to protect yourself. So when she's talking to Zack and calling him a cartoon character, or saying his stare is scary, or saying whatever else she said that comes across as extremely mean, she's saying it because she's sitting there going like, oh my God, I was so vulnerable, and now he's standing in front of me and he can break me with a single word. You know what I can do? Protect myself. Doesn't excuse her behavior, but it gives us insight into, just because she does it doesn't mean she deserves bullying. Like, she's not a horrible human. She's a complicated person, and that doesn't mean that Zack wasn't deeply traumatized by her.
We like to think that things are just the way that they are, but everything is not black and white.
It's the same people who are like Swifties and go attack someone.
Yeah, but I guess
Or the same thing as Olivia Rodrigo fans attacking people. Like, those are very much TikTok generation. They take things at face value. They take a TikTok at face value. They believe it at face value. If someone tells them they should go color their hair green and then their skin will clear up, they will take it as face value. Like you said, when we consume so much, it's hard to like look things up and do your own research. A lot of the time, that generation kind of takes what they have and like, yep, that's the truth.
People in their 40s and 50s and 60s, they have more of that fixed mindset. And then the people before that have an even more idea of the fixed mindset. So I think maybe millennials are trying to chip away at that mindset, and then the Gen Zers come in and they say, oh, well, that's not true because obviously you're a bad person. These people right now are the people who would never take the time to look into someone else and their experience.
Give them grace.
Give them grace. That's the quote of the season. Because in reality, we like to think like, oh, it would be so simple to say to someone, you know, this isn't for me. I think you're an amazing human being, but you are not the perfect person for me. In theory, that's very simple. It's very easy to say that. But when you're someone with Irina, who struggles with all of these confidence issues, and especially with who she is as a human being, she might think internally like, oh, I can't say that. Like, he's going to get so upset.
But thankfully, that relationship ends. And we get to move on to true bliss
Oh.
with Zack and Bliss.
Bliss's mother, though, guys.
An angel. We
Sent
love
from
her.
above. She is truly a wonderful woman. You can just tell how affirmed Bliss and her sisters were by her mother and how inspired they were by her, because she just tells them how much she cares about them, tells them that they're not only beautiful, but inspiring and intelligent and kind. And then when she said, "That's why I named you Bliss, because you're pure bliss," and she is.
And then when she said that she can be Zack's mom. But Bliss and Zack, I think from the beginning, it was obvious that they were a better match. Their love story was so sweet, and I think Zack needed someone who wouldn't care what he looked like. Not because he looks bad, but because when people are quote-unquote quirky or have quirks, it's so easy to judge them and write them off. A truly mature person doesn't take a quirk as a negative thing. It's a beautiful thing. It shows you are an individual. You don't care. Like, in the way that Micah and Irina are very much quote-unquote basic, because they are fitting every single generic stereotype. That's just who they are because they have felt this pressure to fit it. Zack is the exact opposite. He is in his own world. He is living his truth. He is honest. He is kind. He is funny. And he's doing it because he knows his own worth.
But Bliss is also quirky and fun.
Yes, she is.
And it's very cute to see that as well, because not only is she quirky and fun, but she's beautiful and kind and inspiring. So we haven't seen a girl who's like that before on this show.
I think in like, for example, the previous season, Zineb and Cole received a lot of backlash. But I feel like that was it mostly. Like, Bartiz got a little bit, and like Colleen and Matt, some people were discussing it. But it wasn't like full-fledged, the entire internet attacking them. While this season, very much. Micah and Irina at the beginning, Kwame a bunch of times, Jackie, and they're like full-fledged. Like, I'm seeing it everywhere. I'm surprised that we're 4 seasons into Love is Blind and I'm still so invested. I feel like with a lot of reality shows, I'm like, it's like getting repetitive. But I'm still over here like, what is this next couple gonna be?
Generally, there's a specific type of look, like, oh yeah, like I would see you out.
Yeah.
In a cover of something. Not the cover, but inside a magazine, you would be there.
Right. There's
Whether
no
it could be a Macy's ad, Walmart, Target, or Calvin Klein.
Right.
There's a spectrum there, but they're generally all types of people that you would see in print or something.
Right.
Why aren't we casting what a normal human being looks like? This is supposed to be a real experience and a real experiment. I just feel like we need to see more normal looking people. Just something to think about for season 5. Let us know what you think of each couple in the comments down below.
Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell if you want to be notified every time we post a new video. Also, follow us on Instagram and TikTok for exclusive reactions and behind-the-scenes content.
Make sure to leave a comment down below because we like and read our comments always.
Thank you so much for watching.
Bye.
Bye.